I think it is a problem with the software. It does not seem to, it looks different. So what I could do is change it to the computer audio.
That's what we had to do last time, was it not?
Yeah.
I have audio and picture now.
Is the sound working?
So the sound is working, Councillor Gendron?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So then it looks like it must be working there, just not on the computer.
Councillor Gendron, if you could let us know if it stops working, please.
I certainly will.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you guys. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Jody.
Be it hereby resolved that the minutes of the May 8th, 2024 regular meeting be approved as circulated.
May I move it, please? Mr. Jarvis. Seconder, please. Mr. Cool. Councillor, everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes of the last meeting. Any questions, comments, points of discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried.
Delegations. Welcome assessment. Come have a seat, please.
Sorry to the gallery, we might be here a while, but you know, please don't shoot the messenger. Yeah. Would it be fair to ask how long you're expecting for the other delegations?
I think you are the only delegation.
We are the only delegation.
There's a
Oh, it's the public hearing. Okay. All right. Okay, well, if I can start, I'll get right into it. So, for those of you who don't know, my name is Ed Kaloji. I'm the manager of the Property Assessment Office in Selkirk. Bethany Debreson is the assessor that we have working in Winnipeg Beach. So she gets to do all the inspections, take all the calls, and there will be lots of those after tonight's meeting. So, the reason we're here today, and I guess show of hands maybe, how many councillors are new? New to reassessment. Okay, so why do we do this? Every 2 years, every property in Manitoba is reassessed. It's a legislative requirement. We are mandated by the Municipal Assessment Act to update assessments every 2 years. And our assessments are updated to a reference date. That reference date is April 1st, 2023. And so what this reassessment is showing is the change in value of property in Winnipeg Beach over a 2-year period. So our previous reference date was April 1st, 2021, and now it's April 1st, 2023. These assessments will not come into effect until next year. So we send them out months in advance. So if anyone has any questions, any concerns, thinks our assessments are out, they have an opportunity to contact us and we can discuss that and come out and inspect those properties if necessary. So how do we come up with our assessment values? It's all based on sales. We take our job very seriously in terms of reviewing every single property that sells. And so in Winnipeg Beach, over the last 2 years, there were 197 properties that sold. And what we do is we go through a sales verification process where we try to determine, was this a valid sale? And by valid sale, was there a willing buyer and a willing seller? And usually the way negotiations work, if both buyer and seller are satisfied, that's good. That's what you would call a valid situation. But sometimes people are distressed. Maybe they're going through a divorce. Maybe there's an estate situation. Maybe there's could be a whole bunch of things. Someone has to let a property go for less than it's worth. Those sales would not be considered valid. Or on the other hand, you may have someone that comes along and money's not an issue and they'll pay anything, whatever they want for a property because they want it. So that's not taken into consideration. So we look at the average sales, and those sales are what we use in our analysis. So we started with 197 sales, and we filtered out 32. So we're down to 165 sales, and those 165 sales are used to determine the assessments of the just under 1,800 properties within Winnipeg Beach. So in terms of the highlighted sales in Winnipeg Beach, there were 5 sales that sold for in excess of $400,000. And one of them was a sale of the former golf course for $2.2 million. So that was the highest sale in Winnipeg Beach. And then there were 4 residential sales north of 400,000 in that 440, 450 range. So all indications of a good, strong market. For council's, I guess, own information, there are 1,785 rolls in Winnipeg Beach. So that's 1,785 properties that get a tax bill. Of those, 1,507 have a dwelling unit on them. And we define a dwelling unit as a property that has a place to cook, a place to sleep, and a place to take care of business. That is what constitutes a dwelling unit. So there's 1,507 rolls with the dwelling unit. There are 61 properties that have a commercial building on them. And we also have 178 vacant parcels of land. So not a lot. It's indicating that a good chunk of Winnipeg Beach is built up. So there aren't a lot of undeveloped parcels of land either. So that's a little bit about the market. The average assessment in Winnipeg Beach, the median value, is $170,250. So what that means is exactly half of properties are assessed for less than that, and exactly half are assessed for more than that. And that number will be important when we go into some of the changes that were announced in this year's provincial budget in a few minutes. So after today's meeting, we're going to be sending out an assessment notice to every property owner in Winnipeg Beach. They'll get those notices, and if they have any questions, please encourage them to call us. And we'll be phoning and talking with Bethany. She's very nice. She's very, very polite with property owners and so forth. Now, if people are calling your office and complaining about how much they're paying in services, or complaining about, I don't know, sewer water or the neighbor, we won't talk to those people. We will talk strictly value. So we'll talk about the assessment. And if someone calls, our first question always is, would you sell your property for what it's assessed for? Do you think that's a fair estimate of value? If people feel it's not fair, then we could proceed. If we ask them if they think it's fair and they think it's worth a lot more, then they probably don't want to talk to us, because sometimes that happens. So those are some of the things that we'll be going through the next little bit. We'll also be having an open house on June 22nd. It'll be at the Village of Donato office. So if anyone wants to come and meet an assessor, we'll be there from 9 to 1, and that's on a Saturday. We'll have other open houses, but that's the closest one to Winnipeg Beach. So I'll get into the numbers. And so that's on page 2 of your report. So there's some big numbers here. And so provincially, like I said, every property in Manitoba has been reassessed this year. The average assessment increase is 13%. In Winnipeg Beach, the average assessment is increasing by 17%. So, okay, so you're slightly above the provincial average, and I would say that's a good thing. That's an indication that values are strong. We did notice during the pandemic that there was definitely a push towards recreational communities. A lot of people wanted the lifestyle. Early in 2021, interest rates were low. A lot of people were saving up money early in the pandemic. It's a different story now. But at that time, price of money was cheap. Bank accounts were going up, and people are buying properties. And that's reflected in a lot of resort communities on both sides of Lake Winnipeg. So it's not just in Winnipeg Beach. It was the case in Victoria Beach, Gimli, etc. That's just the general trend. So when we look at the tax base for Winnipeg Beach, we break it down into various property classes. single-family residential is the biggest portion of the assessment base in Winnipeg Beach. It's about 93% of your tax base. So what happens to residential is what happens to Winnipeg Beach. And the average assessment is increasing by 17.6%. That doesn't mean that every single property is seeing an assessment increase by that amount. Some are going up more, and some are going up less. It also should not mean that your taxes are increasing by 17.6%. This is just indicating that the tax base is growing by that amount. Now, the apartment component of the tax base is quite small. It's increasing by 8%, but that's just a couple roll entries in Winnipeg Beach. It's not a big portion. Condo co-op, that's referring to 26 properties located at Harborview Village. And those are going up 23.8% on average. So overall, your residential component is going up by 17.6%. The farm portion of Winnipeg Beach is very small, increasing just under 7%. The commercial portion, again, it's not very big. In Winnipeg Beach, it's increasing by 12%. Institutional properties, that would refer to schools, those type of buildings, 2.5%, so not much change there. Pipeline is increasing by 20%. There might be some changes to how pipelines are evaluated this year. That may be a change provincially. It won't impact Winnipeg Beach though. The increase you're seeing in pipeline will be the increase that you'll see if there's a change in valuation methodology with that. And railway, it's going up 17.3%, so that's in line with the average for Winnipeg Beach. So we're not seeing very big tax shifts. So what does this all mean? If you were to keep your mill rate the same, you would see a 17.1% increase in revenue for the municipality. But there's also the school portion as well, right? So it's not, there's the municipal mill rate and the school tax mill rate. And so, but typically what happens in a reassessment is the mill rate does come down. Now, our projections are on page 4 for what we anticipate will happen. So on page 4, there's a chart at the top of the page. And we make a couple assumptions when we come out with these projections. We don't know what your budget is for 2025. So we base our estimates on what your budget was in 2023. And so inflation has definitely played a factor over the last couple of years. So these projections are probably understated to a certain degree, but I can't tell you by how much. So in that scenario, a single family residential property, according to this projection, that same property that saw a 17.6% increase in their assessment, in that perfect world scenario where your budget was identical, would see a 0.1% increase. Realistically, it's probably a 5, 6, or 7% increase, but that's, you know, based on what we know. The other property classifications, some see decreases. Apartments, for example, see a decrease. Farm, commercial, institutional, all see decreases. And again, there's always a bit of a shift during a reassessment. So if your residential is going up, say in this case 17%, and commercial is going up 12%, there's a little bit of a tax shift to the residential. But it's ever so small because your residential base is so large in Winnipeg Beach. At the bottom of page 4, there's a chart that talks, there's projections of the number of properties that would see a tax increase and those that will see a tax decrease based on this reassessment. And for the most part, 2/3 of property owners would see a tax increase as a result of the reassessment, and it'll probably be a bit more. And I have to put an asterisk next to that. There is one thing that'll impact that, and that's the changes to the school tax property rebate, and that'll come into effect next year. So I'll talk about that in a minute. So any questions about these numbers? I'm throwing out lots of numbers. Okay, all right. Page 5. This looks only at the municipal levy, so we're taking school taxes out of the equation and looking only at the municipal levy, and the change is very nominal. And again, that should give you a good indication of where things are going in the community. So that's it about the tax shifting. Now, Winnipeg Beach will be impacted quite a bit by changes in this year's budget, and that's all on page 7. So as we know, there was a provincial election quite recently, and there was a change in government. And the previous government had a mandate to eliminate school taxes as much as possible on property tax bills. And it got up to 50%. So for the last couple of years, people have been getting rebate checks in the mail. You'd get your tax bill, then you'd get a check. Now, what people did with the check, I don't know. Maybe some people hid it from their spouses. I don't know. But it's, you know, the checks were around last year. This year, they're gone. Instead, they're being applied directly to the tax bill. So when people get their tax bills this year, they may think that taxes have dropped a fair chunk. And what's happened is that rebate check has been automatically factored onto that. That'll apply to owner-occupied properties, and that'll apply to secondary residences for this year. But next year, there's some big changes. So for next year, and maybe Sharon, you would know better, or maybe council would know, of those 1,500 properties with dwelling units, do you know how many are full-time residents in Winnipeg Beach? No. Okay. All right. So that's where it comes down to. So first of all, there's a change in the name of the credit. So the Manitoba School Tax Rebate, that name is gone. There's a new acronym. It's called the Homeowners Affordability Tax Credit. It'll be a tax credit that'll be worth up to $1,500. And it'll be applied directly to the school taxes on your property tax bill, not the municipal portion. So this credit will favor properties that are generally lower valued. And so that median value of $170,250 would strongly indicates that more people in Winnipeg Beach will benefit from the credit than not, except there's lots of people that have their primary residence elsewhere. So I ran a scenario. I took an example of a property, your typical property with $170,000 assessment. Last year, they would have had a school tax bill of just over $600. Under the previous government's rebates mandate, they would have received a check for $300 if they lived there full-time or not. Under the new system, if someone's living there, they'll get that full amount of school tax paid off. So the $600 will be gone altogether. They'll just have to pay the municipal portion. The person that's using the property as a seasonal residence will get zero. So they'll pay the full $600 school tax plus the municipal portion. So I anticipate that many council members will get phone calls saying, why do my taxes increase? And it's absolutely nothing to do with what you guys have done. It will not be your fault. It will be a change in government policy that's made that impact. So, and it will specifically impact people that have secondary residences here in the community. And that's common throughout most areas where people have secondary residences. So that'll be the impact. Although for year-round residents, there will be benefits, and it'll be up to $1,500. If you pay $900 in school tax, that full $900 will be covered. That excess amount of $600 will not apply to your municipal tax bill. I also did a check of the highest tax bill in Winnipeg Beach. There's someone that's paying $11,400 a year, and their school tax amount is $3,500. And so under the previous, I guess, policy, they would have received a check for $1,750. And next year, if that's not an owner-occupied property, they're going to be paying that full amount. So it's generally your high-end properties there aren't a lot of properties assessed. I've heard that generally if you're paying about $2,300 a year in school taxes, that's kind of the break-even point where you see less of a benefit from this program. But for the most part, most people would see a benefit if they're full-time residents. So I hope that's clear. But that will come into effect next year, not this year. Yeah, so that's what we can say about the reassessment. Like I said, we're going to have an assessment open house June 22nd, but people are more than welcome to give us a call. We'll try to meet with them, and we're not perfect. I'm not going to pretend to be perfect, but if we've made an error, we'll fix it. And we want to give everyone a fair shake. If people are not happy, then they have the right to file an assessment appeal. And in Winnipeg Beach, I have some important dates for everyone to know. And this is also included in the package. And I hope these dates are plastered somewhere in the town office, because these are so important. We've had some, we have to follow the legislation. So we have to properly advertise the Board of Revision. We have to properly advertise the appeal deadline. And so that'll be October the 1st. But if people contact us now, we can deal with it. If they wait till October 1st, we won't be able to deal with it until the board hearing. So the actual Board of Revision will be on October 17th. And just to throw some more numbers at you, I did a little check of appeal history in Winnipeg Beach. So last year, we had 19 appeals in total. But of that, very few came to the actual board hearing. We had one assessment that was reduced at the board. We had 3 that were dismissed. So we had 3 property owners just not show up to the hearing, so they were dismissed. We had 8 owner-assessor agreements, so we were able to come to an agreement with property owners if there was a concern there. So that means we entered into a value that they were happy with and we were happy with. And we also had 7 people withdraw their appeals. So after talking to our staff, they decided, you know what, it seems fair. They withdrew their assessments. So at the end of the day, we only had 1 person to show up at our appeal hearing last year. So I think that's a good indication out of 1,700 properties that we do try our best to make sure that we're addressing people's concerns.
On the 8 agreements, were they reduced?
Often they are. So often it's we ask people for evidence, and we'll often request to do interior inspections of properties as well if there's any concerns. A typical scenario might be someone has structural issues with the property. Let's say it's the Leaning Tower of Pisa is leaning over, right? There's structural concerns. So we'll come and take a look, and we'll determine what's a fair value based on that, the cost to cure in a case like that. And we'll also look for sales of properties that may have had damage and see how that impacted the value of those properties as well. How big of an impact did it have?
So then there are roughly 9 redemptions instead of.
Yeah, except the 8 did not have to appear at a board of revision.
And again, for anybody who wants to come and talk to you on June 22nd at another, where in the village are you going to be?
At the village office.
At the town office?
Yeah.
And what time are you going to be there?
9 to 1.
9 to 1.
Yeah.
June 22nd,
June
correct?
22nd. And like we have the assessment notices that are in the mail today, we'll have a whole bunch of open house dates available. So that's the closest, but we're also having them throughout the Interlake, and people are they can go to any open house that they want.
So did the date change, June 22nd versus, I think the original notice we provided was June 15th?
June 15th.
Did the date change?
Yeah, there was the office wasn't available on that date, so And in the official brochure that's sent out in the mail today, it'll show that June 22nd.
The assessment, change in assessment notices, and with the big change that the province has made in reference with the education tax rebate program, is there gonna be an insert, in reference to the change
Yeah.
in the, along with the?
I believe there is, yes. Yes, there's multiple links there. We also encourage people to go directly to the website. Everyone, when they get their assessment notice, will have an ID number, and you could go online and look up your assessment, and you can compare your assessment to everyone around you. And there's a number of links there as well. There's also some good mapping features as well.
Any other questions from council?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Councilor Genva, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I should mention one thing is, so often we're asked the question, does assessment regularly review all the properties? And not this winter, but the last winter, we did a total door-to-door review of all properties in Winnipeg Beach using high-resolution aerial imagery. And so that was completed last year, and it had been a large number of years since we had done a door-to-door audit. And so the reason we do that is to have fairness and equity between assessments, because not everyone takes a permit out, for example, on a property. And so sometimes people are frustrated when we show up to inspect a permit for, say, a new deck. And we'll hear, well, this guy over here built a deck and he didn't take out a permit, and why is that? So these type of projects help level the playing field. So if there's any changes up or down, if buildings have been removed, we'll take them down. But if stuff's been added, we add that onto the assessment. And so we completed that project last year, and I think it helped to equalize and make the assessments more fair. And we also have that imagery at our disposal to use whenever we have calls from people as well.
There are certain shed size, if I was to build a shed, there's a specific size that would like.
So generally we look at the utility and value. So size is one factor, but it's not the only factor. So generally, if it's under 100 square feet, we wouldn't assess a value to it. But if it's 8 by 10 and you're putting power in there, and you've got a concrete floor in there, and you're insulating it and drywalling it and all that stuff, well, yeah, we'll assess it. So that, at that point, it's deemed to have value. And if you were to sell your house, would you want a little bit more for it because you had this structure? Probably would. And so that's what we try to reflect, is the value of that structure.
Councilor Jarvis?
No, it was answered. You don't need a permit for under 100 square feet. So you said that if it's generally under 100 square feet, you can build a 9 by 9.
Although, again, we've had people decide to build 10 of them.
At 99 square feet.
And then, well, sea cans are another one. Oh, I'll just bring a sea can on the property. No one's going to say anything. No, those get assessed. It's not a big value, but again, we're recognizing that it's there. And sometimes, you get a tornado or something, and act of God, a storm, and your property's substantially damaged, and you're talking to your insurance company, and you want proof that there's a record this building existed. The assessment record is a great place for that.
Years ago, there was talk of an annuity in the thing when government should get in. Talking about age of seniors not paying school taxes. Is there anything being brought forward by this government or anything in that?
There is a tax credit for based
Like
for
not
seniors.
paying anything at all. Let's
No.
say age 60, 65, like there was talk for years ago.
Yeah, no, not to my knowledge. There are seniors tax credits on school on top of the but it's, in terms of removing it altogether, no.
Any further questions about the Winnipeg Beach tax assessment? Thank you very much for your time. I
Thank
know
you.
This is your last meeting for today.
It is. Thank you.
Be it hereby resolved that council approves the account payable listing being check number 22845 to number 22925, inclusive of checks, electronic payments, and payroll issued in the amount of $68,339.03 as circulated.
Take a mover, please. Jarvis. Who is second, please, Councilor Boston? Any questions, comments, or points of discussion about accounts payable? Councilor Jarvis?
Yeah, check 22920, Winnipeg Beach Hotel. Rebate for $50, so they didn't put up their patio, but they put up the patio anyway, so are we getting our $50 back?
The patio is being taken down tomorrow.
Answered my question.
Other questions, comments, or points of discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried.
Be it resolved that council give designated officers bylaw number 05-2024, third reading, finally passed, signed, and sealed.
Take a mover, please. Councilor Jarvis. Seconder, please. Councilor Poole. Given that this is a third reading, means this is going to be recorded vote. Any questions, comments, or points of discussion about the designated officers bylaw? Councilor General?
Yes, in favor.
All in favor? Carried.
Be it resolved that council give water and wastewater rates bylaw number 06-2024, third reading, finally passed, signed, and sealed.
And mover, please. Councilor Jarvis. Seconder, please. Councilor Kozlowski. Again, because this is third reading, it's going to be a recorded vote. Did everybody have a chance to review for the last time the water and wastewater rates bylaw? Any questions, comments, points of discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that council appoint blank and alternate blank to the Interlake Municipal Recreation Association, and be it further resolved that Schedule A for bylaw 02-2023 be amended to include the appointment.
And mover, please. Jarvis. Seconder, please. Cool. People remember I asked for this to be put on last meeting because the Interlake Municipal Recreation Association started up again on my 10th first meeting. It's a very important group to be meeting with on a regular basis. I certainly am willing to continue. I'm wondering if somebody would like to be the alternate. Councilor Rule, thank you. Any further discussion on this? All in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that mayor and council mayor and CEO be authorized to sign the lease agreement between the town of Winnipeg Beach and the food cupboard. But for the public and it's not
Resolutions in order here. Sorry. Can I get a mover, please? Councilor Kozlowski. So we've been, looking at, the lease agreement for the food cupboard that we're trying to move over here, on the building behind us, the old credit union. Council thought would be a much better place for it than the rec center. Has council an opportunity to review the lease agreements? And are there any questions, comments, or points of discussion? Councilor Gendron, any comments?
No, I'm good, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Nothing? You did a very good job, Sharon. You covered every single point we needed to. I'm glad we could figure this out. And, that means once we sign the lease, you and I sign the lease, right, we'll be able to move forward with this. Okay, all in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved, the following special meetings of council be established to discuss parking initiatives.
A mover, please. Mr. Jarvis. A seconder, please. Mr. Kozlowski. Remember, this is a follow-up from our discussion last meeting. And we wanted to schedule dates for meeting around parking.
That does not mean,
absolutely
council
understand
cannot
that.
continue with the meetings.
How is, Tuesday, June 4th, Thursday, June 6th?
Fine.
1
Days
o'clock?
are fine.
For other people?
I'll be away.
You're away that week? How about, Monday, June 10th?
Morning.
Anytime before 10.
Yeah, I gotta be in the morning
It's gotta be in the morning.
on the 10th.
Councilor Kozlowski. Councilor Gendron.
This is fine, I may have to call in for it, but I can be present one way or another.
Councilor, what did you say, before 10?
Yeah.
And you're saying Councilor Jarvis after 10?
No, anytime in the morning.
Or after 11.
Once I hit noon hour, it's
So
a
you're,
blow.
you're not available by noon, at noon, you're not available from 10 to 11?
Correct.
So how's Tuesday, June 11th?
Better. Anytime.
Anytime? Councilor Moore?
After lunch for me.
After lunch on the 11th. Councilor Gendron.
Again, I may have to be, virtually at the meeting, but the day is good.
Okay, can we say Tuesday, June 11th, and somebody said after lunch, is that correct?
1 p.m.
1 o'clock, June 11th. How long do we need to schedule this for? Suggestions from the board?
Probably a couple, 2, 3.
Let's say from 1 till 4. Thank you very much.
Do we really think we're gonna resolve it in one meeting? Do we wanna set another one now?
What do people think?
See how it progresses.
See how it progresses.
So I can't hear what Councilor Kozlowski is saying.
Councilor Kozlowski is suggesting that we see how it progresses. So,
My only issue is if we wait for those meetings that reduces people's availability. I would prefer to see a second meeting first, and if we don't need it, then cancel it.
what do you think about that?
Pardon me?
Is that okay for folks?
Yes,
No?
okay, madam.
Okay.
Okay.
How is the 25th of June?
Same time?
Same time, 1 o'clock?
I'm good.
Councillor Wu?
Yep.
Councillor
Sure.
Kuzlowski? Councillor Gendron?
Here I am.
25th, 1 o'clock, parking 1 to 4.
Thank you.
So the resolution is then June 25th and June 11th. All in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that council authorize administration to apply for the From the Ground Up grant intake for the Town of Winnipeg Beach Business Center project at a maximum cost of $80,000.
May I move it, please? Councillor Kuzlowski? The seconder, please. Nervous? So we talked about applying for a grant to get upgrades to the business center. And in previous council, we had talked about putting aside $30,000 and applying for $30,000 from the ground up, which is the old BSC grants. It's suggested that we actually put another $10,000 towards that because we had already budgeted $10,000 for that. That way, if we get the grant, we'll have an additional $10,000 from the government. We'll be putting in 40, they'll be putting in 40. If we don't get the grant, we wouldn't be going forward with the. So you had an opportunity to read all of the documentation. Do you have any questions, comments, points of discussion? Councillor Gendron?
No, sounds good. We're okay.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that council authorize administration to apply for the From the Ground Up grant intake for ice plant repair project at a maximum cost of $66,000.
May I mover, please? Jervis. Seconder, please. Councillor Cool. Did everybody have an opportunity to read the report that was provided to us by our rec director, Carissa? Looks like she had applied to the West Shore Community Foundation for a grant to contribute to this. And we did receive $2,000 for that. People will remember we were looking at trying to replace one of the compressors. The compressors in the rec center, I talked about the last legs that we can on crutches right now. And the motor is also on its last legs. Try and see if we could do the compressor first this year and the motor next year, the council had decided. But From the Ground Up grant would cover both. And so if we apply for the grant from the ground up for $33,000, we cover $30,000, which is what the compressor was going to cost us in the first place. And with the $3,000 from West Shore Community. If we're successful with that grant, then we're getting both the motor and the compressor done for $60,000 without the. If we don't get the grant, then we won't be going ahead with both the motor and the compressor. Does that make sense?
So we'll tap the one anyway.
Then we'll talk about the other. We already put aside $30,000 for this, the rec center. We applied for the grant, we've got nothing to lose, because then we'd be able to get the compressor and the motor done. Any questions, comments, or points of discussion about this? Okay, all in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that council approve blank to attend the virtual discussion with Hummingbird Energy with tentative dates being blank.
Before we vote on this, I'm wondering if we can table this. Councillor Gould, yourself and myself are supposed to be Chris, our public works person, and our rec person about the net zero, and this is something like that, but we were not able to today, so you and I have to. This needs to be on our agenda.
Yep.
Table that?
Yep.
I probably should have asked for information from the agenda, so. we don't have to move it a second, we table it. Table it to the next meeting. Okay,
Whereas East Interlake Planning District requires confirmation that up to 24 units can be connected to the town sewer system, and whereas the property location is currently connected to the town sewer system, therefore be it resolved, based on the projected number of units the town is able to accommodate, providing any drainage system shall not be connected to the town's wastewater sewer system and must be connected to the town's storm sewer system or ditch drainage network.
I gotta move it, please. Can I get a second, please? Councilor Gould. Okay, discussion. People remember, we did have the information from, the province, from that we certainly have capacity at this point. We've done all the reports here. Any questions or comments about the reports? Councilor Gonzalez.
I just got a question. Would all the dilapidated buildings, let's say on Main Street, put out the same usage as a 24 condo complex?
So in reference though, from an environmental standpoint, they are already connected to the sewer system. So although there may be an increased volume, this is just preliminary and projected. So it's, when we look at it, it's not new new infrastructure coming in, it's already existing, that's already there. And so then working with environment, as per the report, providing the council is taking the necessary actions to address. There has been some reviewing the existing license that does allow for the north cells to be utilized. There was the perception that those were no longer able to be utilized for, I'm not sure what reason, that surfaced. And so amongst with all of that and the fact that the town is still addressing the filtration system that is not functioning, that is why environment has no issue.
And remember, it has a caveat here that they're,
This is not the development, this is just saying that the accommodation,
Right.
this is just very preliminary, so.
other questions, comments, points of discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that the following dates be presented to the Arm of Gimli for review and consideration.
Can I get a, move it, please? And a seconder, please. Councilor Cool. I think, you had suggested last council meeting, Councilor Jarvis, to ask me if they wanted to meet, and if so, when. And they moved it back to us and said, we want to meet, if so, when. So,
When's our regular meeting date? You know?
we were asking them to come here.
Okay.
They're requesting to come.
Do we want to do it on the 12th or 26th?
We wanted to attach it to our council meeting.
An hour and a half? You want to do it?
Can I just ask for some clarification on this?
Sure.
Given that they are asking, do we want to invite other people within our mutual aid district? Is there a thought that this meeting is to discuss both purchasing for our fire department?
I'm assuming that, yes, that's what they're considering.
So we've already heard from our entire chief that it isn't suitable for us to be both purchasing for our fire department.
That's correct.
But we're gonna have this meeting anyway.
I think at the last meeting, Councilor Jarvis was suggesting there might be other things we're gonna wanna talk to them about.
No, I didn't. I said it would be rude of us to just brush them off. I never said. So why don't we just brush them off then?
Excuse me, one at a time, please.
This is my confusion. Our council was approached by a council from Gimli. That council from Gimli never followed through with the meeting request. So I'm not sure if that council didn't follow through with the meeting request, why would it be rude of us invite them. He is the one that, from my understanding of what's been said, initiated the conversation. Our fire chief has said that, bulk purchasing for our town, as discussed with Gilly, so unless Gilly has other things on the agenda to discuss, or we do, I'm not sure what the point of following through and taking people's time up and costing taxpayers money. If that's all that's on the agenda and our fire chief has stated it won't work for us.
Other comments? Can we have a response, please? I don't know whether we're supposed to be.
Then why don't we suggest to them that they requested the meeting initially, and we, being the good neighbor that we were, allowed them, the opportunity to have a meeting with us, and then they just keep pushing us out and say, when they're certain, and text it that way, and when they're certain that they have something that they wish to discuss in the form of mutual aid, then we would be more than willing to meet with them.
Well, but standard practice was, I mean, that was a discussion between a couple of counselors.
No, there was 5 of us.
Okay, one at a time, please.
You go to your CAO, you have your CAO arrange the meeting. We never heard from their CAO. So I'm just not sure why it's being looked at that we would be rude if we didn't follow through, because it's not our role as counselors to initiate meetings between us and another town. That's the role of our CAO.
Councillor Jarvis.
It is rude when somebody asks you to attend something, and asks maybe that you would like to attend something, and you say, yeah, by all means, but we'll bring it up in council, and we'll discuss it at council, and we did exactly what we said we would do. Now, if they're not interested in doing it, we can send a simple thanks, but no thanks back to them, that they haven't committed to the initial request. Whether or not, I mean, when I was there, I didn't see our fire chief at the table that I was at, and they had a deputy mayor there, and they had a councillor there that was asking 3 councillors from Winnipeg Beach if they would like to go to a meeting. Now, I could probably flip them off right there and say, hey, not interested, but I thought the nice thing to do is say, you know what? Why don't we get in touch with each other? And we've got in touch with them, and they're just not responding. So you know what, as far as I'm concerned, it's a dead issue. I'm pretty sure that it'll get around that we don't want to meet with them. Not interested, lost my interest already.
Well, Councillor Kozlowski, Councillor Gold, do you have any opinions on this?
Well, yeah, I don't know, if we're not, if they're not committing anything, I don't know. Just leave it.
My concern is that we're saying that we should be having a meeting, but nobody around this table is sure what we should be talking to them about. And so what my concern is that we're wasting people's time by.
Or get clarification from them. What do you need from us? Like, what are you looking for? And if it's mutual aid, and our fire chief decides we don't purchase that way, they got their answer.
So are you suggesting what as we go forward?
And we were supposed to have a meeting with them too about the speed limits. We met with them once. We were supposed to have another meeting, and for some reason we didn't meet. And they went to the province and put in their specs for number 9. So again, not our fault. Their fault for not calling us back to the table.
So can we just leave this? It doesn't sound like we
I
have
said I vote to leave it.
one person at a time, please. We're just gonna leave this? If Gilly would like to meet with us, we would be open to hearing and figuring out what the agenda would be. Anybody around this table has issues they'd like to be talking to Gilly about, I'd be more than happy to sit down and talk with them. But at this point, it looks like nobody really has an agenda on either side, so no point wasting people's time meeting.
So if I can get clarification, there was a discussion that the CAO was to clarify if it was mutual aid, et cetera, and what the topics of discussion. Is the CAO being directed to still do that, or is this issue?
Councillor Jarvis.
Dead. Agreed.
No, we're talking to the CEO. I mean, if they got something on their plate, they're gonna tell us. If they don't, then it's a dead issue.
Can we get it with our CAO to actually talk to the Gilly CAO and say,
That's-
hey, is there some stuff
that's
that
what I think.
council wants to talk to us about? And if they say yeah, then we set a date,
Yep,
date, if
that's-
they say no, we're done. Thank you. Who is this? Oh, no, pull that chair around there. This chair here is being used.
Okay, perfect.
And I think if you wanna sit up front as much of that, yeah. And there.
Elizabeth Assenger.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And,
Sure.
can we get a little closer back here? That chair over here, we got some cozy seats over there.
We're just gonna close the meeting and.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, hold on.
Be it hereby resolved, the regular meeting of council, May 22nd, 2024, be recessed at 7 p.m. for the purpose of holding a public hearing as required on the following matter. Conditional use application TWD-24-02.
Okay, mover please. Councilor Jarvis. Seconder please. Councilor Kozlowski. All in favor? Carried.
Be it resolved that council will Winnipeg Beach open public hearing at 7:01 p.m. as required on the following matter. Application for conditional use TWD-24-202C at 2 Main Street, legally described as Lot 1/2G, Plan 1074, roll number 105.
Okay, mover please. Jarvis. Seconder please. Cool. All in favor? Carried.
So council,
Hi.
so we'll do a quick introduction. We've got Councilor Kozlowski, Mayor Pam Jackson, Councilor Doug Jarvis, Councilor Barry Houle. Councilor Jean Gedron is on telephone.
Okay.
So if there's any other questions, council has received the circulation package provided by the NPD. And so now it's your turn to discuss the package.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for your time. Yeah, Melanie has color copies, and I promise you, Melanie and I did not call each other and discuss what we were both wearing, unfortunately. I picked her up, and this is what happens.
Not a uniform.
No, it's not a uniform. Well, thank you very much for your time today. We are really excited to be able to share our thoughts and our vision with you about the expansion that we're hoping to do. We have certainly enjoyed our time here in Winnipeg Beach over the last 3 years and have come to know several of the community members, especially business owners, and we think that this area is just beyond amazing, and it has certainly been good and supportive with us. So that said, of course, why wouldn't we want to do more? So the Rosé right now is 5 suites plus the main house, and we have purchased the property next door and are looking to expand it into a 2-story motel with, we're thinking 8 to 10 rooms. That's kind of what we're looking at right now. And of course, a little area for yoga, sound bath, sort of a little daytime spa, if you will. And that's kind of our vision for it. As you can see, we've provided you the package with what it looks like now. We're very niche in terms of our target audience. The fishermen haven't embraced the pink doors as much as we'd hoped. Weird, I know. But we definitely have done very well with people coming in from the city and from other markets to visit this sort of retro chic California style pink door motel experience. And we have really enjoyed that. We've really enjoyed to be able to create a safe space for a lot of girls' getaways. That seems to be what it's most popular for. And and so of course we're wanting to continue that onto the new purchased property. I think that's really the extent of it. We're looking to build 8 to 10 more rooms, a little yoga center / sound bath spa, and maybe have, a barrel sauna, things that will entice people to come throughout the winter. That's going to be a main goal for us, is to be able to create some experiential things and activities that people would want to come into Winnipeg Beach during the winter season as well. And that's kind of our main goals and objectives.
And you had said that you're looking at 2-story, 8 to 10 each?
Yes. Yeah, so 5 on the bottom, 5 above, and then the sort of, event space for spot, like for yoga or sound baths or things like that in the front.
Facing Main Street.
Facing Main Street.
We have a preliminary, very preliminary drawing, and I don't know if you know Don Bilski, with Bilski Enterprises in Selkirk. And we were given his name for a site plan, and he was following the rules for parking, etc. But you'll see on there that that has listed more than the 9 parking spots. But we can always, like we said, it'll be more like 8 to 10 because we know we've got to follow the rules for parking. Yeah.
Right.
Any other questions, council, before we comes from the public? Okay, so you know then what we do is, for public hearing, people did have to sign in and indicate if they wish to comment or not. We did receive 2 written objections that I'll read out loud. And then once everyone has gone through that, then we have the opportunity to address any of the concerns that may have been brought.
Okay.
We have objection number 1 is we have received the notice regarding the Rose Beach House variance. As you know, Winnipeg Beach's hotel business of rooms, restaurant, and bar are seasonal. We do not earn any money during winter months. The revenue stream is summer, is also not enough to operate during winters, but we still keep the doors open for patrons. As the volume is simply not there, having a second motel and restaurant will kill the existing businesses. We request that Municipal Council of the Town of Winnipeg Beach do not give variance and approval to new motel or hotel. Otherwise, Winnipeg Beach Hotel will face challenges, hence affecting the employees, restaurant business, and room business as well. Second objection received is we have received notice of the Rose Beach House variance. As you know, Playland Arcade is a seasonal business. We only open for summer and survive on those 3 months for the maintenance and operation costs. We request Municipal Council of Town of Winnipeg Beach to not give to variance and approval to new motel or hotel.
Okay.
We have nobody wishing to speak, and we have Liz wanting to speak and Harsprit wanting to speak.
Sharon, I'm sorry, but I did not hear. Who submitted those written objections, please?
Oh, sorry. The first written objection was Berinder Singh from the Winnipeg Beach Hotel. The second objection is Valbir Man from Playland Arcade.
Thank you.
Oh, Harsh. So Harsh, would you like to address council?
Yeah, sure. I'm from Winnipeg Beach Hotel. For like, if you guys extend the rooms, right now we also operate on the motel. Summers are a good season. In the winters, if you guys have 8 to 10 rooms, people will move to there. So we can't survive in there. So there's gotta be revenue cut to more than half in the winters as well. In the winters, you don't get many people in the bars. It's main as some events going on in the Gimli and the area around. People come to rent other rooms. So that's only the revenue we get in the winters. So if you guys will go, like I heard you be making a swimming pool also there.
Well, that won't affect your winter now, will it? The swimming pool.
Yeah, but still summer will affect us.
Okay.
Whatever revenue we get from the summer help us to go through the winter.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair.
Okay, so Liz and Mel, you can certainly address the objections if you so choose.
Yeah. Well, I think number one, I think we have a very different target audience. I don't see us as being a direct competitor to anybody local because I think we do a very niche thing. Our brand is really about experiential stays. So we have a very niche target audience. We create a very different experience, and I would never want to open up a business in a community where I thought somebody was running something very similar. So we actually did our homework and looked around at what businesses were there and how we could add to the community. It was by building something that isn't in competition or in conflict, by bringing more business into Winnipeg Beach and making it a bit more of a cool destination spot was always our objective. That would help benefit other businesses. And one of the things we've always done since we opened is collaborate with the Trebles, with the coffee shops. We have their promotional material in the rooms, they have gift cards in the rooms. So we're really pro-business, and our belief is that if we are doing well, we work with others, and we hope the entire community benefits from that. So I understand and hear the objectives to it, and I get the concerns, but at the same time, I believe, and I've always believed, that if we're going to build business, it's going to be beneficial for everyone, and we're not directly competing with any other brand here that is similar.
Can I ask a point of clarification? Are you planning on having a restaurant?
No. No, there's lots of those here, and we wouldn't want to bring in something that's already here. Yeah, we would actually
no
do a
bar.
lot to support the restaurants here, actually. Yeah.
No bar, no.
No bar.
Definitely.
It's a whole other business I want nothing to do with. Yeah.
Questions or comments? Councillors? Feel ready to make a decision?
I would just like to make one comment, and that was when the Rosé opened 2 years ago, I know that I spoke with, one of the owners, and this was their long-term plan, and, very happy for them that what they thought was long-term is a little sooner than perhaps they were initially anticipating. We have had lots of discussion at our table about the need for accommodations and things that are going to attract, and this sounds very promising.
Thank you.
Any further questions, council, before we close the public hearing? Be it hereby resolved that council now close the public hearing for conditional use application TWB-24-02C, and council reconvene the regular meeting at 7:12 p.m.
Okay, mover, please. Mr. Jarvis. Seconder, please. Mr. Kozlowski. All in favor? Carried.
You can stay for the decision or no, but it's something that we will use to be making the decision.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Whereas the applicant, owner of property located at 2 Main Street and legally described as Lot 1-2G Plan 1074, roll number 10500 in the town of Winnipeg Beach, has applied to the town of Winnipeg Beach for conditional use TWB-24-02C to permit for a hotel and/or motel as part of an expansion to the existing Rosé Beach House. Therefore, be it resolved after careful consideration for application and any representations made for or against the conditional use, the Council of Winnipeg Beach, in meetings duly assembled this 22nd day of May 2024, approves/denies conditional use TWB-24-02C with the following conditions. 1, the town of Winnipeg Beach standards for design and construction of public works must be met. And 2, any new drainage system shall not be connected to the town's wastewater sewer system and must be connected to the town's storm sewer system or ditch drain network.
All in favor?
Move, please.
I knew that. I
know.
And so, you know, it just happens sometimes. Mover, please.
I'll move it.
Councillor Gendron. Seconder, please. Councillor Kozlowski. Discussion. I just want to make clear, 2 conditions. The second condition refers to drainage.
Mm-hmm.
We have problems here that some folks have their drainage going right into our lagoon system.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need that. Their drainage with overland water can be going into our storm
Right.
system as opposed to the lagoon system.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with excited possibility of having, more accommodation here. I think that you're right, that you're in niche market. I think that you're right, that, it brings more and given people to the beach. More and given people to the beach, over winter. We've been wanting to, attract winter people here. Support our businesses, not just in the summer. So this application, I'd like to get to another councillor who has other opinions.
I think it's exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to commend you for doing what you're doing.
Oh,
Will bring a lot of people.
thank you.
I've been here since I was junior high.
Mhm.
For 5, 6 years old. Been here for 60-odd years.
Yeah.
Before that. And I want to see this town prosper, develop. I think within the next couple of years, 5, 10 years,
Mhm.
this is going to be the place to come. Not that far from either.
Yeah.
And so once again,
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I really agree with your presentation. You know, Winnipeg Beach has so much to offer. And lots of people are aware that, you know, during the summer, the place is packed. as you
Mhm.
know. We have so much to offer year round.
Yes.
People would recognize that and start to come in here and see a lot of people stay here.
Mhm.
You know, we have more businesses that can
Yes.
longer hours, and then that attracts other businesses to
Mhm.
come. And so it just becomes slow progression of growth, and that's what we want to see.
Yes. Amazing.
Councillor Jarvis?
No, good.
Good.
So is the resolution to reapprove conditional use TWD-24?
All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So good.
Thank you. So, when are shovels in the ground?
October, hopefully,
October.
for foundation.
That was just a really good answer.
Yeah.
Because I was concerned about construction in the summer, right?
Yeah, no,
No,
we understand
and
that. We wouldn't do that.
Today, we just received approval from Manitoba Hydro that they've removed all the natural gas and the electrical. So that's good for the demolition permit.
Yes.
And then we're just waiting on the removal of the road restrictions.
Of course, we're still at 65%, aren't we?
And then Eddie's Gravel is who we've contracted with to do the demolition during a weekday, not a weekend.
Right.
And hopefully then that can happen in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. I am. What's your name?
I would like to please remind, before we move forward, I'd like to please remind everyone in the gallery to refrain from conversations, other behaviors that might, with council proceedings. Some of us are a little bit older, and so hearing each other can be a bit difficult, especially if there's background noise. Sorry, that's okay.
We are under new business. Whereas council received EIPD bylaw 02-2024 for review and comment, and whereas council has reviewed, therefore be it resolved that council for the town of Winnipeg Beach issue the following comments.
Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Poole. Seconder, please. Councillor Jarvis. Discussion. People have an opportunity to review this. This is land use only. Questions, comments, points of discussion? Anybody at the table? All in favor?
So, excuse me, Madam Mayor, so the, therefore be resolved comments? No comment?
Is that correct?
Is that correct?
Okay. I know, I was writing down no comments. I write it down, we voted on it, and I forget otherwise. All in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved, the council acknowledge the boil water advisory for the artesian well issued March 20th, 2024 has been rescinded.
Can I get a mover, please? Councilor Kozlowski. Make a seconder, please. Councilor Poole. Discussion? For people to know, our lake levels are really low this year. Our artesian well then stopped working. As soon as our artesian well stops working, then we put a water advisory on. When it does start working, let it run for a couple of weeks. We can do water testing. During that 2 weeks, we put a water advisory because it had not yet been tested. We have since been tested. Everything is fine, so that's when we send it. All in favor? Carried.
Item 11.3, grill fire at the canteen. Item for council discussion and direction.
So as people, I'm sure you've heard other places, but formally letting council know that there was a fire at the grill, the canteen in the rec center on Friday. And the rec center was, not hurt, but the grill was destroyed. And so we are at a place where we need to be making some decisions. We are still waiting for insurance adjuster report. Just wait for a minute until people clear their water. Really? Okay, that's fine. Okay, thank you, Shane. So the fire in the grill in the rec center, nobody was hurt. The building wasn't hurt, the grill is a write-off. I think we need to have a full council discussion on this. I really do believe, at least for myself, this certainly brings up the whole question of what we're doing with the rec center in terms of, or the restaurant that's been operating in there. If we replace the grill, it's gonna cost $2,500 for our deduction, for our insurance. And I believe it was on last month's budget that the fan we had to replace for a couple $1,000 was on last month's payroll accounts. And I wanted to have discussion at council with it about this, so maybe I will just start. I've been thinking about this a lot. You know, that rec center was built in 1970 by volunteers from this community. It was built by volunteers. It was built by volunteers so that we could have activities for our young people and for our middle-aged people and for our adults and for our and we put a little canteen in there so we'd have hot dogs and chips and pop for when there was gatherings there. In talking to our rec people over the last few days, we can't have a number of different programs in there when the restaurant is there. people who wanted to have hot yoga classes didn't want to be doing hot yoga classes there while the customers were eating their burgers and watching them do hot yoga. We wanted to have, any sorts of activities happening up there in the main area. And we can't have those activities because people don't want to be having those activities while the customers are sitting there eating and watching them engage in the activities.
Excuse me, Governor, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the sound is very terrible and it is difficult to hear anything that is being said right now.
Okay, are you asking me to speak up louder? Yeah?
But so will everyone else have to?
Okay, so I really, in my own mind, I'm at a crossroads about how much money we continue to put into the restaurants at the Rev Center. So a restaurant can be operating out of there, that limits the amount of programming we can have there. And at this point now, we're looking at the replacement of the grill. Although if you read the lease, it's unclear whether, depending upon whether a comma is in that section or not, whether Carlos would be responsible for replacing the grill or whether we would. But if we're responsible for replacing the grill, we're looking at $200,000. We're looking at $200,000 for the deductible. So it's $200,000 left. Right. No, I'm sorry, $200,000. $200,000 for the grill, $200,000 for the deductible. We put $200,000 last month for the fan that stopped working in the canteen. We got reports from EIPD, I believe, suggesting that now that we're in this situation, we might have the health department and engineers come in to see about upgrading the whole thing, for which they could give us no cost. And I'm not sure that we should be in the business of creating a restaurant level canteen in there when the whole idea of the rec center was to have a place where we could do programming and sell hot dogs for the kids and the youth and the adults in our community. I just think that this might be a time where we need to really think about how we're moving forward with this. I do not believe that we should be putting money into any profit-making restaurant. That's just not our job. Unless we were renting out that space to somebody and giving them the responsibility of putting the equipment in, paying the insurance, paying the utilities, and we're just renting the space, I'd still have to have a discussion about what that means for the use of the rest of the rec center. So I'd like to open this up for discussion before we proceed with figuring out how we want to proceed, given that the grill is now not working, and what we want to do with this. Because I don't want to be paying taxpayers' money to fund a restaurant. So I'd like to hear from other councillors what your thoughts are.
Yeah, my first my first comment regarding this is we've been, and we meaning the three guys have been left out of several emails regarding this. And the only people copied on the email are yourself, Gene, and the CAO. So that's my first comment, because that was some important information that was sent to the renters of the community center. So I don't understand why we would have been excluded from those emails.
Can I ask you what emails you're referring to? I'm not familiar with them.
Emails sent to the owners of Carlos Kachina.
Let me just pull them up.
And I certainly can comment on that. I've only responded to Carlos as of today, and I did CC all of council on that response. So when I say council under my heading, that's including all members. I don't individually add. I have a.
Well, we saw the emails. So I'm just curious as to why we were left out.
I'm looking at the emails right now, Councillor. Who could you let me know?
Well, I'm not looking at it because they weren't sent to me.
The one sent today?
Not today. Prior.
When was it sent?
Again, we can table this and we can talk about it next week if you'd like. But
No, if you're
it's an actual fact and it's troublesome.
Well, Councillor Boyle, I'm looking at my mail for the last week and a half, and I have nothing Carlos at all. So I'm not sure what it is you're talking about.
It was sent to Carlos.
Yes, it was sent, there were emails that were sent to Carlos that also included the Public Works Manager and the Rec Director and none of council, as it was dealing with operations and getting information from insurance. So I have, there has been several emails that the CAO has sent to Carlos Patina where the Rec Director and the Public Works Manager were CC'd on because it was in reference to getting information about or taking images of and dealing with
Saw
insurance.
email, just Pam and Jean yourself. That's it.
Councilor Gould, if you'd like to come over and look at my computer right now.
I don't need to. I saw it already. I'm questioning. That's all.
Well, I'm telling you that it didn't happen.
Okay. I'll get those emails and I'll forward them to you.
Actually, I'll actually
Or I'll
request,
post them.
I'll actually
How's that?
request Carlo to send those because aside from the insurance, our insurance agencies and staff who would be directly resolved around getting information, I certainly as the CAO would not exclude any member of council for any information at all, as that's not my role.
I'm gonna ask once again for the galley to please not be making any noise so that we can actually hear each other on council.
My second question was, wouldn't insurance cover the cost of a new grill?
So we're working with insurance right now and our deductible is $2,500. So
Right.
the issue we're having right is that I do not have the make and model there's no stamp on there for me to get the make and model to get a replacement. The grill has been removed as per the request of the health inspector. It is in safe storage in case the insurance company does decide to do an on-site investigation of that, but I have not received any additional information from insurance.
Other comments, Councilor Jarvis?
First of all, the exhaust system, let's talk about that, because that was like $1,500. I'm correct, right? 1,500 and change for it to fix that. Yeah, I only say that because Mayor Jackson had mentioned 2,000, but we could have done that for 300 or 400 or 500. So and I don't know why we didn't, but that's water under the bridge. I mean, those things go every so often. When they do, it's just a motor and so on and so forth. The grill itself, the fire had nothing to do with the motor, correct? With the fan motor? The fire was strictly electrical coming out of the grill. Now, the grill was basically, in fairness, the grill was probably worth not even $100. Okay, I mean, it was an electrical grill, so on and so forth, but it was older and so on and so forth. But it was operable. It wasn't like it was dysfunctional or anything. So, in any event, the engineer's report, if we put in another electric grill, we do not need to change the make repair system. Okay, because that was when Union Gas only, as long as we don't add any more gas-fired equipment, and we don't need to change these CFMs coming off the hood. We do go to a gas grill, and I had mentioned this previously about 4 or 5 months ago, that we will need to get an engineer's report to make sure that we're exhausting the proper amount of air. You can probably pick up a good electric grill, and I've used them before, anywhere $1,000, $1,200 for a really good one, because they're not very common. Anybody that has them, you probably beat the guy down to $750 if you really want to get rid of it. That being said, Carlos has already indicated that he can operate without it for now. We've already discussed going to tender, which we have to in October. So why don't we just get the grill out of there, store the grill if they want to look at it. We don't even have to replace the grill until we go to tender on a new tenant, in which case we're going to look at upping the rent anyways, and we'll include the cost of anything that we have to replace. If we have to put a $750 grill in there, extrapolate it over 3 years, and boom, we're adding another $8.50 to every month to pay for the new grill.
I'm suggesting we don't automatically assume that we're going to. I'm asking whether we should, in fact, be going forward with getting a new tenant in there, or whether that's another discussion we need to be having.
I don't have a problem with the tenant, I've never said that, I've always liked that, you can probably get 2,000 to 2,500 for a tenant out of there, and that's not a bad gig. You know, for 12, you've got a restaurant that theoretically operates on a rare basis in the summer, because we are a beach, I mean, the arena competes with the beach in June, July, and August, and if you can pull $7,500 or $10,000 out of there over 4 months, and somebody's willing to pay that, I don't have a problem with that.
And what about the fact that it restricts the rec center from being used for all the other activities for the month?
You know, I'm gonna count, I went to the rec center, I wanted to look at the fire last week and I couldn't get in, and it was in the middle of the day. You know, the doors are locked. I can't get in.
Well,
So,
Councilor Jarvis, we can't have it both ways, we can't.
what does that mean? You said you wanted to use it for use, and I said you can't get in the building. Well, if I can't get in the building, the people that want to use it for other activities, they can't get in the building either.
Councilor Jarvis, what I'm saying is people aren't going to the building because there isn't programming happening there, and there isn't programming happening there when there's a restaurant there, it really limits the amount of programming that can happen there. That's what I'm.
Granted, I hear what you're saying, and I've mentioned before that I've gone to the rec center and I can't get in. So if we were using that rec center 7 days a week, or give it even 5 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day, I would say, Mayor Jackson, you have a point. But when I go there on a regular basis and I can't get in, then nobody's getting in. At least if we have a restaurant in there, we're generating a revenue. And you know, so I'm not. You ask me my opinion. I think if we go to tender, I like the fact that he's in there. I mean, we can also put in parameters, and there's things that we, you know, say you have this area and that or whatever. We can set the standard. We were here for the original contract.
So in regards, like, Madam Mayor, in regards to negotiations, I would have to request that
Right.
be an in-camera discussion.
I read that, and I apologize, but that's always been my.
So you're suggesting at this point with the grill fire that we don't do any upgrades, that we just get rid of the grill, don't do anything with it, and wait until the
Right,
summer?
because I think that's my position, I think, because even the tenant right now has indicated that they're okay with that. So.
Councilor Kozlowski?
Yeah, I agree with most of that. Also, I don't think we should pay our deductible of $2,500. We can get a grill a lot cheaper than that, that's for sure. So forget the insurance. If you have no restaurant there, you're making it in the canteen, the same thing. You got kids coming in there all, you know, during the breaks, lunchtime, which there are quite a bit. So you're gonna have the same thing happening if you got programs in there. You got kids coming in. So whether it be a restaurant or canteen, you still got people, you got children in there.
Absolutely.
Right. So you said before that people couldn't come in there because the restaurant was in, and there were people always in there, and the activities would be stifled, or, you know, the noise barrier or whatever. But it's gonna be the same with the canteen. If you have a canteen in there. So, and I suggest you maybe meet with Carlos over this and see what some of his views are, and, you know, if he's willing to pay a little bit more money. I don't want to certainly not throw him out of there. We got a hard enough time keeping these restaurants open on Main Street. You go there on a Tuesday, nothing's open. Where are you going? You're going to Healing. Toronto. When these places are closed, we need more businesses downtown, and good for these people from the roads that coming in, and excellent. That'll bring more people there. Like for the hotel said, well, this will bring more people to the hotel.
Oh, for
Those are my. And I say no insurance, don't pay insurance.
Okay, and so the engineering report in terms of the engineer's report in terms of looking at the issues that have been grandfathered in and looking at a best path forward and assessing the kitchen equipment and the ventilation system, and those recommendations you are suggesting that we don't proceed with?
You need an engineer's report. You need the health department to come in there and give you a health.
I'm just reading what.
Yes, there's the building inspector's report you're referring to.
Right, and the building,
I do believe that a lot of the building inspector's report was based on the grill provided by Carlo for consideration, which was a gas grill.
Councillor Jarvis?
And I just want to clarify a couple of things from the, I think it was the planning district's report. Because it was an electric piece of equipment, there was no fire suppression nozzle over that equipment. It was only the nozzles, and that, because I'd heard a couple of things, well, the suppression system didn't go off and everything. Well, it wouldn't go off because it's not a gas-fired piece of equipment. And I've been in a couple of kitchen fires, and one really bad, where the suppression system didn't go off because it was nowhere near the fusible links. So that fire there, and I believe Carissa put it out, there were two people, Jason, I think, and they put it out, and good job on it to get that out. But, because that's your biggest fear, that it gets into the hood. And the fact that it didn't get in there is commending to them, and we don't need to do anything with the engineer's report if we don't change the kind of equipment that's in there. So if you don't put a gas grill in there, then you don't need to change the engineer's report. And that was the original statement I made about 4 or 5 months ago. Because it's the natural gas that they're worried about. That you can't, that the natural gas, you're exhausting more air, including the carbon monoxide that's coming off that. You can't have that in the room. So if you're gonna add more gas-fired equipment to it, you've got to exhaust more air. And the grill is electric, and it doesn't generate any carbon monoxide.
Councillor Sausage, I see you doing one of these.
No, we didn't.
Okay.
My turn?
Councillor Gendron?
We had a bit of a discussion a couple months ago about community center, restaurant, canteen, et cetera. And at the time, I expressed my concern that not that Narm's taxpayers' money should be going to support a local business. If all is not clear, when I read the agreement, the current leaseholder is responsible for the repair of that grill. So I don't even know why we're talking about our insurance and spending our money to replace the grill. That's how it reads to me. There was a fire, he's responsible for the repair. I have a bit of a concern on the level of conversation that is happening by Councillor Jarvis and Councillor Kozlowski, making it references to Carlos continuing to be in there. We've already discussed that we will be going out to tender, and if you wish to speak with me, you can go back and listen to the meeting on YouTube. Both of you have made references to him continuing to be in there. We don't want to take him up. There is no guarantee that he's going to be there next October. Let's make that clear, because if this type of conversation keeps happening, who's going to bother to put a bid in? When it sounds like a couple members of council very clearly want that in there.
Councillor
It's
Jarvis?
not clear,
Oh,
it
sorry.
is not clear. The contract itself was responsible, and until we know who's responsible, we shouldn't be making any decision about anything. These processes take time. I'd be interested to know if Mr. Goody has a contract with his own insurance company to see if he's covered for this, to be getting it repaired. Because the way the agreement reads, he is responsible. But a dime of taxpayers' money should not be spent in support of a local business. If there was if the grill goes down at Shenanigans, are they coming to us as a delegation to say, well, you covered the cost of equipment for Carlos Cucina, why are you covering it for us? You have to be responsible with taxpayers' money and not be spending it in a way because we think we want to help somebody else.
Councillor Jarvis?
Two things. One, I bet you I must have heard the term taxpayer 10 times tonight. Everybody in this room knows that we represent we're stewards of the ratepayers. Everybody knows that. We don't need to remind each other that we represent the ratepayers. Okay, so when we spend money, we're already considering that option. Now, I want to clarify again, and I'm pretty sure everybody's going to remember what I said. I said, we can leave it the way it is right now. The tenant, and I use the tenant, I didn't use anybody's name, I said the tenant has said that they don't need the grill. We know we're going to tender, and again, I'm repeating myself, I said we're going to tender in October. And I didn't talk about replacing any grill. I said we can build that into the cost if we so desire in October. I have never said one thing about maintaining that this person, the tenant will be there next year, not one time, and I challenge anybody to go back and look that up for me.
Okay, could we please bring this conversation back to topic? And part of the topic before us is how we're gonna deal with the fire. There has been a question about the lease, people had an opportunity to read the lease, and what is your interpretation of that? Counselor Jarvis.
I expressed that, didn't I? I said, this is what I thought we should do. Just leave it the way it is right now. The man will pay whatever his rent is, and we know he's willing to do that. Don't replace anything. That was my position on it. And I'll stick to that as my position.
I understand that.
But the lease does not state that he's paying. Like it clearly states in either case, if the canteen or part thereof is unusable during the period of repair or notice, as in the case may be, liability for rent will be waived.
Right, but I believe I read there's no damage to the building, it's just the grill, and the grill is not in there anymore. Correct?
Correct?
There's no damage to the building.
Okay.
The integrity of the building is still the same. So if you know, I don't want to sound really crazy, but if your stove doesn't work, and you put the stove in the backyard, you learn to cook out of the microwave. The kitchen's still functional.
Right. And so you're saying that we don't replace the grill now, we put it to the side. At the point where we decide to replace the grill, who covers that cost?
We bring it into the new agreement.
What does that mean?
Like if you're gonna have a new tenant, regardless of who's in there now, if we go to 10 or 6 people apply, like I said, if you get a $1,000 grill in there, you extrapolate that $1,000 over 36 months of the term. I'm supplying you with the brand, bear in mind, there's no grill here now, but there will be tomorrow, and included in the contract. It's like takeout supplies for any restaurant, you build that into the menu price.
Okay, so you're not wanting to deal with the current lease?
No, I thought again, the gentleman, we could have a resolution that the tenant agrees to work out the remainder of the contract, the lease agreement, with no grill and no change in revenue.
What's the point in having an agreement then, may I ask?
I don't follow that.
Okay.
Well, number 12 in the agreement says that the canteen material damage or destroyed by a fire or other casualty. So we have a piece of equipment destroyed by fire. The town may, at its sole option, either repair such damage with reasonable diligence, provided that the cost of repairs and replacement of Carlos property supplies will be borne by Carlos, or terminate the agreement by giving Carlos 30 days notice whereupon Carlos will vacate the canteen and Rick Town. So to me, there's two options here. Either as a council, we vote and decide that he is responsible for the repair, or we terminate his agreement. There's no other options in this agreement. Those are the two things before us. Not Carlos getting creative. If Carlos wanted that as an option, he had the option to get that put into the agreement when the agreement was written.
That's what I meant about what do we want to do about the lease, because the lease is the agreement that we held and that we signed with the current tenant. And so the lease says if there's any damage, the cost of repairs and replacements will be borne by Carlo.
My vote is to give him the opportunity, if he wishes to repair it, and if he does not wish for the cost of repair, we terminate the agreement.
Councilor Jarvis.
I thought I read somewhere too that he has an option to purchase his own grill and to supply, but he takes that no different than the food bar that he has in there now, and the slushy machine.
Do you have a copy of the lease with you?
No, I haven't, but not on.
Yeah, section 6 says Carlo is not to add additional equipment without the town's approval. Carlo is to obtain approval in writing from the CAO prior to the installation of any additional equipment,
So he can bring in his own grill as long as we approve it.
as long as it's approved.
Right, so that's just what I said. If he wants to bring in a grill and he says, Madam CAO, can I bring this grill in? And then we say, yeah, sure, go ahead. He can bring a grill.
And my question to you is, if he decides not to bring a grill in,
Then he can be held in default.
then section 12A and B says the cost of repairs and replacement will be borne by Carlo, or the termination of this agreement. That's what we're at, that's what we signed. So, you can't sign leases with those kinds of agreements and then say. That's
My
not
only
right.
concern is through no fault of our own, and I mean absolutely zero fault on this council's responsibility, we lost Access Credit Union. And they had a marvelous deal, and it's just one more person right now that if we lose it, it's a revenue stream.
I get that.
You know, and it's,
I
It
totally
is currently
understand.
not a revenue stream because he is not paying rent until this matter is resolved.
Can I hear from other councillors in terms of what you think we should do at this point with the lease?
Well, clearly we need to talk to Carl a little bit more.
Yeah, that's what I would like to do too. I said earlier, set up a meeting with Carlos. And see what he wants. I hate to lose another business out of this town. We want to bring in businesses, not lose them. And I think that's the way we should do it. And you said earlier, Madam CAO, that this Collins, whatever, and we don't know whose fault it is, or who's gonna pay that price of the grill. It's up in the air.
So you'd like to meet with.
Again, a grill is, again, $1,100, $900, $750, whatever. And I said before, that's not our deductible, because it's way too high. And then maybe next year they might up our insurance policy. But
Well, I'm also wondering because it says in section 10 that he is to, that the tenant is supposed to be carrying insurance. And so I'm also wondering if his insurance would cover this as well. Councillor Jarvis.
he would never claim any of this on insurance. And you can, I know a person in this town that was broken into, and their deductible was $10,000, and they had just slightly over 10,000, and they chose not to use their deductible. You have to almost have extreme damage and extreme loss before you even consider insurance. So it would be insane for somebody to, it's like when you break your windshield, your deductible's 500, but the windshield costs $528. You know what I mean? Like, pay for the windshield.
So why should we have to pay for it if he's not willing to?
We don't know who is at
Taxpayers have
fault.
to pay for a grill.
We don't know who started the fire.
It doesn't matter who started the fire, the agreement states, if property is damaged due to fire, it doesn't say it's his fault, it doesn't say it's our fault, it says if there's property damage due to a fire, he is responsible for the repair. If he chooses not to repair it, we can invoke the second clause, which is the agreement is terminated. You have now raised the option, or the point that maybe he would like to put his own grill in there. So if he chooses to put his own grill in there, he's still responsible for the repair of a grill that is owned by the town.
Councillor Amano, CAO, you had your hand up.
I did. So based on the conversation around the table, there's two directives that have been presented. One is to direct the CAO to schedule a meeting with the tenant to discuss the remainder period of the lease. The other is council direct the CAO to cancel the insurance claim. The grill replacement does not occur until a new tenant lease is agreed upon. And council requires the current tenant to continue the rental payment as outlined in Article 3 of the current lease. Is that a fair statement that those were the two directives provided by council? One was all encompassing of 3 items. Cancel the claim, do not replace until a new lease is agreed upon. And the third is the tenant's responsible for payment as outlined as Article 3. And then the new directive was to set up a meeting. Is there any other directive that council is looking at?
Councillor Kozlowski.
yeah, I'm just wondering if he would be responsible for the rent, for the full rent, seeing there is no grill? Or are we lessening his rent maybe for a couple months?
So that
Till
would
he
be,
is supposed to be back, or, you know, the agreement?
That's what you buy the new
Councillor,
grill with.
one key person at a time, please. Councillor Jarvis, you had your hand up.
He's, unless I'm mistaken, he's agreed to do that, to continue to pay the rent. I haven't spoken with him, I'm assuming you have.
no, there has been an email, at this point, I received an email this morning that alluded to that, but it did not clearly indicate.
Can we clarify it? And
I can do it.
and that's in your proposition right now, right? To
That was as per, yeah, right.
Yeah, as to your three propositions, your three scenarios. If he's willing to continue on to the termination of the present lease contract, as is, regardless of the grill, says he's gonna re-describe himself, and he's willing to pay the rent that he pays. Now, whether or not we have a canteen in October is a whole separate discussion,
Correct.
okay? But right now, for the sake, you know, never kick a gift horse in the mouth. If a guy's giving you the rent for the next 4 or 5 months, take it.
Councillor Gold, you had wanted to say something?
No, I agree with Doug.
Okay.
I have something to add.
Councillor Gendron?
We have an agreement, and the agreement states that he doesn't pay rent. I believe it's assaultive rent until the matter is cleared up. Nowhere in this agreement does it say we can negotiate for reduced rent. So if he is wanting to stay in the facility and he's not willing to pay to have the grill repaired, he still has to pay his full rent. And it's questionable whether or not he can get away with not paying for the repairs on the grill. The agreement says he's responsible for damage to the fire.
So again, I'd like to remind council that anything under negotiations is an in-camera item. And the CAO is looking for directive moving forward. The CAO has been clear with the insurance adjuster that there has been no commitment to move forward until we look at what a replacement grill may or may not cost, or we will or will not replace the grill. Until those costs are determined, we will not be moving forward with an insurance claim. But due diligence when there is damage done is just to inform the parties required in case of. As I am not a restaurateur and could not proceed.
Contract, which is not discussing negotiation.
Correct.
Councillor Gendron, could you let Sharon finish speaking, please?
Sorry, one second.
Please refrain from discussing any level of negotiation until council has determined that that's an item to be discussed in camera.
Okay. So the contract is open for discussion as written, correct?
The contract is open for discussion as written.
Okay. So the contract states is responsible for repair or replacement of the property due to damage due to fire. So I'm not sure why we would be looking at other options for replacement. And if he is not willing to pay for the repairs and replacement, then our other option is to terminate the lease agreement. And sorry, is there a clause in this? Yeah, any of the case, if the canteen or any partner of unusable during the period of repair or notice, as the case may be, his liability for rent will be waived as of the day following the fire. So we only have two options here. Either he agrees to cover the cost to repair or replace it, or we terminate his contract. This existing contract also says he's not required to pay rent until A or B is dealt with.
So then,
Is it not A and B that are in front of us right now?
so then it would appear that Councillor Gendron, you are in favor with Councillor Houle's suggestion to direct the CAO to schedule a meeting with the tenant to discuss Article 12?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Is everybody else in agreement with that?
Yeah.
Councillor Jarvis?
I'm in agreement. I was putting my hand up to agree right away.
Okay, that's what we were looking for as directive.
Do you need a resolution for that?
I
effect?
have one coming.
Thank you.
Be it resolved that council direct the CAO to schedule a meeting with council and the tenant to discuss Article 12 of the current lease agreement.
Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Jarvis, can I get a seconder, please? Councillor Cool, all in favor? Carried.
With that being said, council, is there dates that work for you that I may move forward on?
Next week? Or third, I mean, yeah.
Just waiting for Mr. Jarvis. No, next week is not gonna work. Can we look at the first week of June, please? How is, June 4th?
I'm gone all that week.
Gone all that week. Do we need all of council here to do this?
I think we do.
I was asking the CEO.
Well, it's, that's council decision. And I think it's prudent. There are several meetings where not all of the members of council are able to attend. But I think that,
Madam Mayor, can I ask a question? Is at this point the only question and discussion between the CAO and Carlos is whether he wants to engage in Article A or Article B? If that's the only discussion at that point, is there any need for the rest of council to be there? Would the CAO not be coming back to us with the decision?
Sure.
the resolution that was just passed read council direct the CAO to schedule a meeting with council and the tenant. Not the CAO and the tenant. If council wants to change that resolution, we would have to rescind this resolution.
Council,
Dates?
the question before us? Jeez, come on, guys. The question before
I
us.
would like council to be there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I said dates. I think all council should, we just spent 40 minutes on this.
Then I know we did.
So I think it's crucial that we're there.
We look at the week of June 10th, please. June 10th, 10 o'clock in the morning. How is that for folks?
Sure, I'm good. June 10th, 10 a.m.?
Anything after 11.
9, you're good at 9.
I'm good at 9.
9 a.m., June
Yeah.
10th, 9 a.m.
Yep.
Okay.
Is this something we're voting on?
No, the resolution's been passed. Before I schedule a meeting, I need an indication what works for council, and hopefully that works for the tenant.
And just to clarify, the only discussion at that meeting is whether he is opting into 12A or 12B.
I can't anticipate the discussion will be Councillor General, and I certainly hear your stance on this.
No, I just want to know, or are we going to be exploring things outside of this agreement, is my question.
I do not know at this point what, I can't speak to that right now.
Well, what about the council that suggested council be at the meeting? What was their thought on it, please?
Councillor Jarvis.
I just said we can't. We're talking about exactly what it is that Councillor Chandra wants to talk about. Yeah, what could we possibly talk about outside the parameters of what we've been talking about now?
Well,
Councillor
you
General
raised, you raised that.
Councillor General, 1 moment, please. Councillor General is asking the question, are we limiting the conversation to 12A and 12B of the lease?
I yield to the CAO.
CAO.
The resolution states, council direct the CAO to schedule a meeting with council and the tenant to discuss Article
I
12
think we talk about anything else. Who knows what's going to come up?
of the current lease agreement.
Okay.
So are we rescinding this resolution
No.
and
That
writing
resolution,
it?
that resolution was passed, was it not?
Yes.
Can we proceed,
But
please?
you're all present, so you can. Okay.
10th at 9 a.m.
Yeah, 10 to 9.
Where are we, Sharon?
Article number 11.4. Whereas an approval through a performance bond review is required to relocate a structure that is not brand new in the town of Winnipeg Beach. And whereas a request for permission to relocate a used shipping container, which is considered a structure, has been received. Therefore be it resolved that council denies / or approves the relocation subject to a signed performance agreement that includes the following conditions.
Bring in order, please. Councillor Jarvis. Bring a seconder, please. Councillor Kozlowski. Did folks have a chance to look at all the documentation attached to this? Yes, no?
Yep.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah, okay, great. I would like to suggest a couple of conditions. I'd like to suggest a condition of the CCAN being moved. To a different part of the property, down by the building or over by the bush line, as opposed to right along. Yes, Councillor Jarvis?
I think the purpose for the CCAN was because the hot dog cart is tough to move.
Yeah, okay, Councillor Jarvis, just let me finish, okay? We're talking about the CCAN that's gonna be used for storage, the hot dog cart can be taken to the CCAN. I'm talking about it not being right on Churchill, but over a little bit to the outbuilding that is there, as opposed to right on Churchill. That's my first thing that I would like to see, but everybody gets to have their own opinion. Second thing I would like to see is put a timeline on the mural on the side of the CCAN that's going to be facing the road so that it is looking appealing. I think that it is a bit of a problem having it right on Churchill Road, having a CCAN there. There's been so much controversy in our community about CCANs being on private property. I don't want that getting worse. And so if it's not as visible and it's over where the other building is, I think that it would be, it's not unreasonable, and I believe that the owner would be happy to do both of those things, and I would like to hear people's opinions.
What is the problem with it? And
Just
is it
what I
not on
said.
private land?
Just what I said.
Yeah. Why is it coming forward? What are the complaints?
Yeah,
First off, what are
yeah,
the
so it's
complaints?
coming, so it is coming forward as per the existing zoning bylaw. Any used structure requires approval of council. So whether it be a home that was purchased and relocated to a property, or, and in this case, as per the bylaw, and that's the report from the planning district, in order for a used structure to be relocated to the town of Winnipeg Beach, there has to be approval of council.
That's why it's coming to council. Our approval is required.
Okay. Can it go to the north end where the mark is?
So with any approval of council, when we look at for this used structure, council has the ability to set any parameters. If council wants to approve a used structure relocated to the town of Winnipeg Beach, council can deny or approve with conditions. And so if we've got conditions, then that would be by way of performance agreement.
Councillor Jarvis.
Two things. One is we had to help Councillor Kozlowski. We had some CCANs in the past, and we exercised bylaws to have them removed from the downtown location, even though it was explained that they were to store tools, etc., for contractors, but we removed them anyways. We still have an existing CCAN downstairs disguised as a storage shed. I don't have a problem with it. My condition, the second part of this, is if we're going to do that, then we need to, in some way, shape, or form, apologize to the people that we made get rid of their CCANs. Send out a little apology, say, hey, we've changed the bylaw, and now we're allowing them.
Councillor Jarvis, there was no change in the bylaw. That having CCANs on property or not having CCANs on property is nowhere in our bylaw.
Mhm.
That situation was different because I think it was under another agreement around the building. If there's never been a bylaw against CCANs in our municipality.
Then how could we have them removed?
Councillor Jarvis. Okay, I'm not sure that we need to recreate the past and try and figure out what happened under a different administration
No,
and
it
under different. different administration. Please don't interrupt, Councillor Jarvis. What's before us right now is this CCAN here on Churchill. Do we want to approve, do we want to disapprove, or do we want to approve with conditions? That's the discussion before us. Councillor General.
Well, Madam Mayor, you said we don't want to hash. I would just like to clarify, since it may be a concern for some, the CCAN in the downtown area that has an added exterior to it was approved by council of the day. The second CCAN that was downtown that was denied was because the request came from an individual who had a CCAN on another property owned downtown. It had a time limit on it to be removed, and the individual ignored it for quite some time and thought that they were solving the problem by just moving it to the second property. And that is why it was denied on the second property, because that individual proved that they could not adhere to the parameters that were put on them being able to have a CCAN.
Councillor Jarvis. Thank you, Councillor General, for that clarification. Councillor Jarvis.
First of all, I just want to, on record, have no problem with the CCAN on Churchill, none whatsoever. However, my thing was that, why is this CCAN on Churchill any different than the other CCAN?
Councillor Jarvis, I think that is a very different situation and very different circumstance, so.
So I would suspect, because this is the first CCAN structure relocation that has crossed since I was here, and I would suspect that the same request, EIPD would have provided the same report, and that request would have gone through council. Council would have either approved it, denied it, or approved with conditions. And it sounds like from Councillor Gendron, council approved with a timeline condition, and that condition wasn't met. And therefore, when the relocation to another property, that request came before council, council denied that request. So the same process is in place and hasn't changed, as far as I could assume.
Do we have other comments from council about this request before us?
Yes, I would like to comment on this actual request. The location is one because the CCAN is a bit of an eyesore. I understand that it's difficult to move, maybe difficult to move the food cart, but generally speaking, individuals who own food carts have methods of moving their food carts around. I would like to suggest that this CCAN be allowed closer to her home property or along the bush line. There could be a deadline on it being somewhat disguised, and the individual will have to find ways to move the food cart back and forth.
Councillor General, just for clarification, I had suggested that a condition be put in place that the CCAN be moved from the Churchill Road side of her property over behind the farmer's market where their existing building is, either along the bush line there or by that existing building.
Right, when you say the existing building, do you mean that small shed that they have there?
Correct.
No, it doesn't, well, my opinion is that's still a bit of an eyesore location.
My second condition was that, she wanted to get a mural painted on it and that we put a timeline on the mural being painted so that the part of the CCAN that is visible to the public would have a mural on it.
Well, given the size of the CCAN and the size of that building, then all four sides of the CCAN will be visible to the public. So I'm fine if it's all four sides of the CCAN to get the mural.
Councillor Ho.
Can it not go where the existing, or where the old garage used to be?
I can't remember what the old garage used to be.
A green, kind of more towards number 9, not far from the existing shed now.
By the existing shed?
Kind of, but just.
These were the golf carts, isn't it?
Yeah, where the golf carts used to go.
Same, it's exactly what you're talking about.
Can we say that, can we pass this resolution by saying that it can be relocated to a place that is agreed upon between the owner and the CAO with input from council, and that a mural is done in a timely manner, and as opposed to us spending another 45 minutes figuring out where we want the sea can to be, because we're all gonna have different opinions, and I don't know this is gonna be a good use of our time. Are people okay with that?
I'm okay.
Or can we defer it? She's got a temporary permit that allows us to be there. Can we defer it so that we can all sort of get a better visual by the next meeting? And make it, and pass the resolution then?
My concern, Councillor Gendron, is that,
We have,
we've got so many other things that we're dealing with, and having to have this conversation again next meeting 2 weeks from now. If there's a way that we can, leave the specifics to our CAO to work out with the owner, with the CAO being very clear about what each of our issues are and coming up with, I absolutely trust knowing the CAO and knowing the owner that they will be able to come up with a solution that will be comfortable for everybody. Is that okay for folks here?
I agree.
So aside from the location, is there any other concerns of council?
The mural too.
Mural timeline?
She's indicated she wants to leave one side white for future movies.
Yes, and so I believe that's gonna be a part of the conversation between the owner and the CAO based on the positioning of the CCAN once they come to that.
Yeah.
All in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that council direct administration to promote the Red River College Early Childhood Education Workplace Diploma Program on the town's website and Facebook.
Councilor Kozlowski, mover. Seconder, Councilor Jarvis. All in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that council authorize the Lemon Oasis food truck to attend the Canada Day celebration June 29th to 30th, 2024, and the Show and Shine event September 21st, 2024.
Can I get a mover, please? Councilor Cool. Seconder, please. Councilor Jarvis. This is the same person who's coming every single year for these events. Any questions, comments, points of discussion? All in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that council authorize administration to issue a letter of support to Simkin Center in support of the grant application for the Life at the Beach initiative.
Need a mover, please? Councilor Jarvis. A seconder, please? Councilor Kozlowski. I think that's a really cool thing that I saw on Clarabelle Simpkin Center is doing, is having a light at the beach and bringing as much as they can to the beach for the day.
Just a comment on that. I know that the Historical Society is compiling information by speaking with individuals that have a long history in the community, and I just want to make a connection or providing, when you respond to them, providing them information on Wendy Peters with our Historical Society. She would probably like to connect and probably do some interviews with those individuals around that day.
Good idea, thank you. Any other conversation about this? All in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that council approves or denies the amendment to traffic bylaw 9-2017 to remove the one-way north and south on section of Prospect Street from 10th Avenue to 9th Avenue.
Can I get a mover, please? Councilor Jarvis. Need a seconder, please? Councilor Kozlowski. This involves the full traffic bylaw as well. To request to amend the traffic bylaw, we have two options in front of us. One is that we deal with this one issue today. Second is that we defer, so we can have a broader discussion about this, and that would include looking at other amendments to the traffic bylaw. What do people think?
Defer.
First heard, deferred?
Table?
We have table it to next meeting, please.
Sharon, can I just ask for, and I don't know if you'll be able to have this information, that strip of, between Ninth and Tenth is very narrow. I almost wonder if it used to be a fast lane, because I don't think you are going to get two-way traffic through there. So I think if that's the fact that you need to be looking at just the one-way and just taking the one-way, might not be on the table if this road is too narrow for two-way traffic.
Yeah, so the CAO has not been on site.
Yeah, it's narrow, and when they did put that one way in, it made no sense to me, living out that end, why they did it in the direction they did it.
And I think it's part of the CEO's recommendation that, a public works committee be scheduled to look at that and probably talk to our public works guy,
Okay.
to see if there's reasons why it's one way or two way, and, Councillor Gold, if you wanna put that on
Yep.
our list of things we have to talk about, please.
Mm-hmm.
Councillor Jarvis?
Looking at it, it doesn't even look like it's part of Prospect. Looks like just a laneway.
Okay, so we'll.
So it might not even be part of Prospect.
Okay, so we'll be looking at all of that, which is why we're deferring it and not making decisions on it.
Be it hereby resolved that council approve Councillor Gendron to attend Red River Basin Commission North Chapter meeting being held at the RM of St. Andrews Municipal Office on June 27th, 2024 from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. with no registration fee, out-of-pocket expenses and travel per diem are applicable.
I'm gonna move her, please. Councillor Jarvis. Please second her, please. Councillor Poole. Discussion? All in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that the CAO be authorized to sign a service contract between the town of Winnipeg Beach and Blank for IT services.
I'm gonna move her, please. Councillor Jarvis. Please second her, please. Councillor Kozlowski. People have an opportunity to read all the documentation about the IT services. They certainly have been causing a problem here. I've been hearing from administration for a while that they need to have a change so that they can actually have computers that talk to each other. Did you have an opportunity to review all the documentation that was provided to us about the three service providers? And do you have any comments, questions?
It was a thorough report and information from the finance, from Sarah. I would like to support Sarah's recommendation. She's the one who's probably going to benefit most greatly from this problem we've been having. Okay.
I'd like to hear from other people in terms of weighing in. We have three options in front of us. Councillor Jarvis.
I'll go with Sharon's recommendation. On the microphone.
Deutsch?
Yeah.
So who else?
Yep. I have to agree.
This is finance report.
This is finance. This is a report from Sharon.
Yep.
Michael H?
I would.
Okay.
All in favor? Carried.
Okay, so the addition will be filed under the committee reports. Be it resolved that council accept the committee reports as presented.
Very good. Move it, please, Councillor Cool. Take a seconder, please. Seconder, please. Councillor Jarvis. Did everybody have an opportunity to read the committee reports? And we got an additional piece of information from our rec manager tonight. And I wanted to speak to this because if people are listening to this, it might be helpful information. I know people have been really keen on pickleball here for the last couple of years, and apparently the daytime pickleball is very, very well attended. But the evening pickleball, Wednesday and Thursday evenings from 6 to 8, there are very few participants. There are about 20 plus people a day during the daytime pickleballs, but the Wednesday and Thursday evenings, they're getting a small handful, sometimes one or two people, sometimes they'll focus. So I just want to put a call out there, if there are any pickleball players who are wanting to keep the evening slots, please, 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 start coming on Wednesday and Thursday evenings. If you don't, that's fine, I get it, it's summertime, you might want to be outside, but then we'll just cancel those programs. The evening programs, not the day programs. Any other questions, comments, or points of discussion about any of the reports? All in favor? Carried.
Item 4.1, council committee and board reports, roundtable discussions. Any?
Does anybody have any meetings that you've attended that you want to report on?
Go ahead, Mike.
Councilor
Yeah.
Kowalski?
Gimli Seniors Resource Council, Winnipeg Beach Lake Lodge menus are posted in the lodge. The Winnipeg Beach Legion and email to community members. In March, there were 64 meal supply, 4 volunteers, 19 volunteer hours. And in April, 56 meals, 1 volunteer, and 3 volunteer hours. Winnipeg Beach Easter dinner served 28 meals, 21 eating in, and 7 meals were delivered out. Extra takeout meals, frozen meals continue to be supplied for participants and community members regularly from the meal program. Volunteers are also required again, I spoke of this last month, for Meals on Wheels. Winnipeg Beach and Bludgeon Daughter have 10 participants receiving meals which are prepared and delivered from the meal program. In March, there were 70 meals with 6 volunteers, 14 volunteer hours. And April, 80 meals, 7 volunteers, and 18 volunteer hours. Continue with the wellness call checks, which they check on the seniors that they're okay for the day. Participants before their meals are delivered, and a follow-up is made with their contacts when needed. The mobility equipment rental program that started in January is being utilized, and available are walkers with skis, bath chairs, bath benches, walking canes, lightweight transfer chairs, knee walker, and a 4-wheel walker and seat. In March, there were 398 individual clients who used these services throughout the month. In April, 371 clients have used the services, the rentals. I also attended the Legion this past month. The Legion put on a Bud Spud this past Saturday. There were over 100 in attendance. It was a great meal, steak or chicken, potato, veggies, bun, and a dessert. They had a great silent auction, which I happened to win one of the prizes. Big thank you to all those that contributed prizes and those purchasing tickets. A dance and bar were throughout the night. People, if you're also not a member of the Legion, please think about buying a membership. It's for our veterans and RCMP groups, past and present. If it wasn't for them, we might not be here today. It would be remiss also if I didn't mention Councillors Jarvis and Hula and their wives attended. So a big thank you to you and your wives for showing that the town is supporting our Legion. Without the Legion here in town, we would be in trouble. Sunday, they held the Legion and the Lakeside Lions put on a great pancake breakfast and a great bake sale by the women's. So thank you to Branch 61 and the volunteers of both Lakeside Lions and the Legion and the people supporting us. Also, just a reminder, Evergreen Basic Needs in Gimli. This reminder, Saturday, May the 25th, all clothing and footwear on sale for $1. There will also be a barbecue. The premises will be open in the parking lot from 9:30 to 3 p.m. Those are my reports.
Good. Councilor Jarvis?
I just want to submit this to Sharon, and maybe she can give this to Carissa and involve Odette and Kathy and Odette. And we had the seminar, it's from the municipal leader, we had the seminar on risk management at the AMM. And it's about creating an inspection list for playgrounds, like to check the equipment, so on and so forth, make sure, you know, and I think it would be a good idea because we have 2 playgrounds and we have a skate park. That maybe on a regular basis, you know, twice a month or whatever, we actually go and we inspect the equipment. As simple as, did somebody loosen the bolts on a slide or whatever. So I think it would be a good job for our green team to get involved in.
I do believe that there is a checklist that they do annually. I'm not sure if it's done.
I'm kind of something's jogging my memory where I thought something was like that was gonna be done when they do the inspections on the piers.
That's right.
I don't know, but I know we have some of the equipment in the beachside park is wooden, and I know they painted it. Was that?
Moore Park also.
Yeah, and even things like, you know, slivers and that, and, you know, smoothing down wood and stuff. I don't know if we have one, and maybe we do, but maybe it's something that the rec manager can oversee.
So the wood structures pose a bit of a challenge for the community of Winnipeg Beach
They're not
because
standard.
they are not the current standard. There has been a recent shift going from the metal plastic playgrounds that they are doing back to wood structured playgrounds. However, it's natural wood only, not pressure treated. So,
Well, we've
yeah,
seen
yeah.
in the last couple of, I'll say the last 3 or 4 years, and since COVID, I've never seen so many people in playgrounds. I have never seen so many children on swings and on slides, and it's phenomenal. So I think it would be in our interest to make sure that if they're on our equipment, that equipment is functional.
Any other questions, comments, points of discussion?
Yeah. Councilor Kozlowski, as the town rep for the Legion, would you mind sharing events like Sun State with all of council so that we can all make a decision whether we like to attend or not? Thank you.
What was that again?
Councilor Gendron is asking that if there are events like the Buds State
Well, that's fine, stay.
evening coming up, that you bring that to council before the event occurs so that all of council can have the opportunity to attend.
Yeah, it's on Facebook.
It's on all the social medias. I'm sure
I
you've
understand
seen
that,
it.
but the town rep for council, I think would be helpful if you brought it to council meetings because not all of us follow everything that's on Facebook. Thank you.
Okay, next.
Just quickly, are they able to post on our business directory? They have a calendar that they send out every month. And if they can post on the Legion could update monthly through Jody, just boom, 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 and have them send the updated schedule monthly to Jody, and she could make it current on our website.
There is a Legion calendar.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they have a calendar for all the events.
Okay, excuse me, you guys, one at a time, please.
Councilor makes the point of acknowledging that Councilor Jarvis and Councilor Cole attended something that as the town rep for the Legion, he didn't bring the council to allow all of us to attend, and simply asking if he fulfill his responsibility as a town rep and the Legion. Thank you.
Okay,
Almost like emails
all,
and stuff.
okay, folks. Can I have a mover, please?
There was.
What do we
No,
do?
I invented a resolution.
Roundtable, it was the roundtable discussion. Is there any further roundtable discussion?
Yep.
Hearing none, be it hereby resolved that council approves the council committee and board reports as presented.
Jarvis is moving. Seconded, please, Councilor Cole. All in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that the correspondence be accepted as circulated.
Have a mover, please. Councilor Jarvis. Seconded, please. Councilor Kozlowski. I trust everybody's had an opportunity to review this. Questions, comments, points of discussion, Councilor Jarvis?
Bulletin on the camping season begins. They mentioned that there's a new playground in Winnipeg Beach. The campground, I've never seen one. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, I noticed that.
Yeah, it seems weird. In fact, I went to look today, it's the same old equipment. I didn't see any new kids at all. Just FYI. I don't need an answer. I just
Province is notorious for bulletins coming out way
Making up
after
stuff.
a project has happened,
After
so it could be the playground that's there if they are considering it.
I do want to acknowledge the announcement of the strategic firefighting investments to support Northern Maryland municipalities and Winnipeg Beach was mentioned there in terms of our grant of over $800,000 to replace our firefighter fleet. I'm glad to see that's getting some media coverage. All in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that council close in camera at 8:35 PM to discuss the conduct of an existing or anticipated legal proceeding and personnel. And be it further resolved that any matters discussed while in camera be held confidential until such time as discussed in open council.
And mover, please. Counselor Kozlowski. Seconder, please. Counselor Poole. All in favor? Carried.